everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk Kashrus, presented by the Kashrus Awareness Project in conjunction with Torah Anytime. Today we are privileged to be joined by Rabbi Sholem Fishbane, Kashrus Administrator of the Chicago Rabbinical Council and Executive Director of ACO. I am also joined by Rabbi Mendelson of Kosher Services. Thank you to both of you for being here today.
Good morning. How are you?
So we're here today to discuss a very important topic, especially as Pesach is approaching, and that is the topic of Kashering. Now, many people don't venture to try to kasher themselves. They very often will engage services. They'll see signs up in their neighborhood, in their shul, we do kashering, and many people are very well-meaning, but they don't know the details. They don't know, how do you determine if something could be kashered? Who should they rely on? Is it something that they should endeavor to do themselves? Both of you have tremendous amount of experience kashering. I would say between the two of you, you've definitely kashered probably in the thousands of kitchens.
That's
So
true.
you've seen it all, both during the year and for Pesach. So walk us through, give us some tips that we could take as the layman's, as the people who are not experts in kashering, what we should know.
So that's such a great introduction in that putting up a sign that we kosher is well-meaning. It's a good way of making a few dollars. It's bein hazmanim. I want to say one point, and of course I want to hear from my chaver Reb Aaron. We had this year a couple of companies that wanted to kosher under the CRC. They wanted to advertise under the CRC. And we spoke to them, and we interviewed them. And not only did we reject them, we discovered that what they've been doing the last few years, frankly, on a good day was b'diavad. Well-meaning people learned the halachas. They think that maybe they saw it at home. So it became a red flag that you really, really, really need to be an expert in both the machinery and the halachas. And if one thing we can take away from today is if you're going to utilize one of these companies, either get one with a hechsher, like the CRC gives the hechsher to pristine, as an example, or get one with haskama of a rav, and maybe even call the rav beforehand. By the way, the people that you're giving haskama to, are they checking in with you? How are they doing that? But that would be for sure an important takeaway as to start off with, and then, you know, with Reb Aaron's help, we'll go through some of the details.
Now, Reb Aaron, you've been doing kashering for a long time. In fact, I think you told us right before this episode, you came straight here to the studio.
Yeah, that's correct. I was in the middle of kashering at a big facility, and I stopped. And it's an interesting point that you bring that story up. This happened exactly 1 hour ago. They said the machine is clean, come and kasher, and I thought I would have enough time to come here, even to be here early. I came there, and I said to the guy who was there, I said, he was wearing gloves, take off your glove, put your hand over here. The thing was not like be'en, not like, like little residue. Tons and tons of food in a place that you couldn't see just by putting your hand in a secret place, so it was full of food. It took me an hour to clean the machine. Then there was different cracks and crevices, cleaning it and hosing, cleaning, hosing, and then we had to do the kashering. So it took an extra amount of long time. And
right there.
This happened 1 hour ago.
Is a tremendously important thing. The cleaning of the appliance or whatever it is that's being kashered. Meaning, someone might come in, they may know what they're doing, but they're not vigilant about making sure that it's spotless before they start the kashering. So right there is one tip.
Right, you have to know the actual machine, and every machine is different, and it takes a lot of years of doing machines. But I'm not here to speak so much about machines today. I'm talking more about houses. I do hundreds of houses a year because people from Treif, I do kashering year round, and sometimes there's cleaning crews coming, and people ask me, should I have the cleaning crew before you or after me? I tell them no matter what, I'm going to have to clean after the cleaning crew, and I'm also going to have the kitchen cleaner than before I walked in there. So, and it happens to me before Pesach too. I come into the house, okay, come and kasher the sink, and then I have to re-clean the sink because the sink is not clean to perfection.
And I want to add to that, what Reb Aaron is saying, an incredibly important point, the mumchis of someone that knows how to kosher a home is understanding crevices and cracks. There are certain things that you're allowed to kosher, but not if there are cracks. So you have to know where the cracks are in these type of places. What's called a crack al pi halacha, what's called a crevice, coiled hoses, dishwashers, all of these things. It takes mumchis to go directly for those areas and to be done on each and every area to decide this could be kosher or it can't be kosher. When we kosher at the CRC for the city, we have a one day everyone comes in, we have a line of rabbanim. People show us the stuff they want to kosher. No, I'm sorry, too small of a hole, too big of a, there's various things that go in. So this is a great point where it can't just be, well, it says on the thing you can kosher granite, let me just walk in. There's actually mumchis involved in figuring out.
I love the point that you're bringing up, because many people might think that, koshering is like a nice bein hazmanim activity. I do car cleaning, I do this other bein hazmanim job, and I'll also do koshering.
Right.
It's a real mumchis. You have to really know the halacha, besides the practical knowledge of using blowtorches and other types of equipment, whatever is used for koshering.
Can I jump in on the blowtorch? And I want to hear what Aaron's experience is, but I want to explain that we at the CRC, as an example, we almost never use blowtorches. And why is that? You would think blowtorches, that's exactly what, when the Sfarim talk, when the halacha Sfarim talking about, you can't kosher something that you're afraid you're going to break. And because of that, you won't kosher right. That is the blowtorch, okay? It's such a powerful thing. We have watched over and over and over again people taking these powerful blowtorches, and because they're afraid of burning down someone's home, they won't do it properly.
Right.
And because of that, we actually discourage using blowtorch. I know this is going to be a shocker, but if you think about it, if you want to do it right, you follow Vashteit and Shulchan Aruch, how to do it, whether it's Hagala, there's other ways of doing Libun correctly. Rabbi Aaron for sure can jump in on this. But it's a great point. If you see somebody walking around with a blowtorch, that might actually be a red flag for someone. Ravon, what's your experience with that?
Okay. The torch that I use, people come, I have many people watching me over the years. It's not exciting. It's not a very large torch.
It's a small
but
fire.
No, it's not so small. I have smaller torches, but I have what I like. It's, of course, a few $100s. It's not so exciting because you don't see massive fire. But if I have to, let's say I want to kosher something here, and I don't want this to go on fire, I could kosher here, and this is going to be good. I could kosher a few inches from a wall with that torch, and the wall will be okay.
So it's more precise.
It's a very precise torch, and it's very powerful.
And it's the speed, right? You know exactly.
You have to know the angle, the speed.
It's incredibly important. Only a mumcha that knows, like a barn, who's a real mumcha, knows the speed and the amount of power you need to say that was kosher.
Knowing what to do in each spot, that's the most important thing. I will never use a torch on a counter in a house. The stovetop is another story, but that's also, people call me and ask me for advice. I'll never tell them to use a torch unless he's professionally trained.
Right. And
Now let's wrap this up with some practical takeaways, because we discussed many different things. I think people are going to be weary now that they heard what both of you have said. Let's give them practical takeaways. First of all, as far as knowing whether an agency, a service is qualified.
So I would interject with one little point of
Yeah.
that. To ask, if somebody's coming to your house to kosher, ask him who trained you how to kosher. So I've had a few times, people, they came to watch me, and then the next thing you know, they don't call me because they're calling this guy, and I didn't even, he came to watch me, I didn't train him. It happened
and they're
to-
using your name as a reference.
he watched me kosher, now he's doing it. He watched me 1 or 2 times. So the most important point for Pesach, is you ask the person, well, who trained you? Well, I'm doing it because the other Bachurim are koshering. That's not training. Did somebody train you? Who trained you? That's the most important question.
Got it.
Do you have a Kashrus, and maybe the Rav trained you? I'm not saying that everybody is no good. I'm just saying make sure it's done properly. But
Of course, make sure it's an Einam Ben Yomo.
Oh, so I was going to ask you like this.
We'll get that.
So let's say I have a good agency. I have Rabbi Aaron Mendelson coming down. I have the best. As a homemaker, what tips would both of you give to prepare the kitchen for koshering? What and especially
things.
things that people don't realize.
Two things.
Yes.
Once you did get the Rabbar Mendelsons or those out there that have a good hashgacha, Eina ben yomim. It has to be 24 hours that no heat has gone in it. And like Rabbar said before, make sure it's clean. When we go to kosher, we say, "Oh, don't worry, we have it." No. This has to be as if you bought it new, really clean. All those, like, we have to unscrew, nuts and bolts because that's where schmutz gets in, right?
Dirt and like under the counter
Yeah.
sinks. You probably
Really clean. Take that toothpick and
So, you're speaking about what you should look out for. So, number one, what Reb Sholem said was perfect. I tell that to people all the time. First of all, self-clean the ovens before I get there. I'll speak about that in a second about the ovens, which is an important, very important point for everybody to know about the ovens. But sometimes I have the 24 hours, I come, and it has to be re-cleaned again, And as long as it's not hot chametz, you're still cleaning, it's okay. But we're not, cleaning doesn't knock away the 24 hours as long as it's not no
No,
bleach.
it's not hot. You're saying the Eina ben yomim factor.
Right. Yeah. As long as it's
you can take a cold scrub, a steel wool. That's okay. It's just
Right.
anything over.
you have to do a
not so
touch up.
letters.
That's okay too, and but you should always make as long as it's not hot chametz or something hot from a chametz pot. People are using pots to kasher. The halacha is you're allowed to use a clean chametz pot to kasher, open halacha, not used in 24 hours, but it has to be clean, and Eina ben yomim too.
Right.
I personally have power of pots. I have a trunk full of pots.
I have to see Reb Aaron's car. He's got blowtorches. He's got pots.
I have it's right
Where
downstairs.
do you put the people?
Gas balloons.
Gas balloon.
Honestly, right now before Pesach, I could take one passenger in the front seat, and that's
it?
That's it.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Anyway, any final word before we wrap this up?
When we say Chag Kosher v'Sameach, we really mean the
You
kosher.
really mean it. Well, Reb Sholem and Reb Aaron, thank you to both of you for this very insightful conversation. I know we only touched the tip of the blowtorch, the tip of the iceberg. There's so much to discuss, but this type of conversation, which opens our minds, the non-experts, opens our minds to know what to look out for and to be vigilant, is tremendously instructive. So thank you to both of you.